profitably, but to operate efficiently. These are in the category we call OSCs, or other state entities, and there are a lot of them. That's a similar enterprises. Our mandate as Minister for Public Enterprises is to provide input into formulation of policy, regulation, and also direction for this public enterprises. And we do this through oversighting SEGA. SEGA was established through an act of parliament, the SEGA Act, Act 990. And it is one entity which has become so important as we try to oversight the specified entities in these three categories as have been outlined above. The specified entities, as we know, and I want all of us to avert our minds to, is that they play a very critical role in the economy, and by virtue of the impact their operations make, are instrumental to the public finances, either positive or negative, depending on how their operations and the operations outcome turn out to be. And they can be found in all key sectors of the economy. If we take the transportation sector, for example, we see the state participating in that sector through STC, which we all know. If we take insurance sector, we see the state participating in the sector through SIC. If we take housing, construction sector, we see TDC, we see state housing participating in that sector of the economy, and so on. If we take financial services sector, we see ADB, GCB Bank, and so on, NIB participating in that sector. So the general statement we want to make is that across all sectors of the economy, we see the state participating in the sector, playing a very critical role in that sector. And I must say they are very significant, and the specified entities together recorded combined revenue of 130 billion Ghana cedis in financial year 2020. So by the sheer value of their combined revenue, it tells you how significant they are in the economy. And they recorded total net profit of 12 billion in financial year 2020. Don't forget, the SEs comprise the SOEs, which our emphasis in public discourse has always been on. We're always talking about SOEs, but the SEGA Act introduces the general term specified entities in the three categories. The combined profit generated from that space is in excess of 12 billion. But our public discourse has always focused on the losses. And, you know, as we chastise non-performance in every enterprise, we have to also applaud the performers so that our evaluation and assessment of performance will be complete. So we should take note of that. And total assets, which emphasize the significance of the SE sector, as 417 billion, as reported in financial year 2020. Per the 2020 state ownership report, the SEs employed 76,949 employees. So you can imagine the job creation they have given us. That's people in active employment. And we know that if we grow the entities, expand them, then they will contribute to job creation. And at this stage, I must say that the president's effort is clear when it comes to job creation, that there is the public sector restructuring that is ongoing to make sure that the SOEs, JVCs, and other state entities operate and expand and generate jobs to complement what private sector is also doing under the one district, one factory. And we know that if you're handling the economy, this economy is both public and private participation, so far as economic activities are concerned. So whatever the public sector is doing to complement what private sector is doing, we must be having the understanding that 1D, 1F is organization, and it can't be done in isolation. The services they need to succeed certainly comes from the public sector, so that decisions in the private sector can be made faster. I didn't see the screen there. Thanks for your attention, because I was asking myself that we are not being efficient. We should have put something in front of me. But thank you, you've done it. Okay, so this we can then take an overview of the sector. We are saying that the specified entities, let's count them, 177 of them, enterprises or entities. So you can imagine how widespread they are in the economy of the country. And the SOEs or the state-owned enterprises are 51. Joint venture companies, as I mentioned earlier, they are 44 in number, and other state entities, there are 82 in number. Problems of the public sector space. I believe that any academic literature, anybody on the street, any person who has averted his performance assessment to the public enterprises space knows the problems, because we have highlighted the problems enough in this country. But for our purpose and for this government effort at solving the problems, three clear channels have been developed, and this flows from World Bank report, which gives support to government to delineate the problems for effective solution. First, we have fragmented oversight. That is to say, 177 entities, government has invested in them. Government should oversight them to deliver the results we all need. And yet, one entity or one government institution will be handling a small portion. Another will be handling another aspect. Another will be, when oversight is fragmented like that, you don't get the desired result. And I must compare this with the private sector. We all say private sector, they operate profitably. They do well, they do this, they do this. It is because oversight of a private sector and every oversight of private sector entity is aligned. You have the shareholder who has invested, oversighting the board of directors they have appointed, and the board of directors are oversighting the management team, and the management team is oversighting the staff or the workers. This line, which gives a single reporting line in management, is effective. The state has not benefited from this structure since independence. And I can there say that it is the absence of this aligned oversight structure which has eluded the country and has resulted in the accumulated losses and collapses of public enterprises over the years. For the first time in the history of this country, there is a single state entity which is acting or has been mandated to be the shareholder and play the shareholder interest and think like the shareholder. For board of directors to also intend oversight management teams who will ensure that workers work the way they should. And this enterprise is SEGA, State Interest and Governance Authority. It's not happened before in the history of this country. So we can look forward to a solution. And I'm not surprised the results that we started seeing is providing the evidence that this structure has begun to work effectively for us. The second problem, lack of compliance, transparency and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe that when I took office just a year ago, trying to visit some of these public enterprises, I met a situation where an appointee of the president, His Excellency Nadanka Akufo-Addo, has prevailed upon his staff to prepare and be updated in their financial report, which was lacking for 8 years, 8 solid years. I've had instances where accounts had not been prepared for 10 years for some public entities. I hazard to say that when you have an investment as a shareholder or as a state, and accounts are not prepared and audited, it is a recipe for corruption. A big recipe for corruption, because it means that whatever is going on in there, you don't have an idea. But as soon as you cause accounts to be prepared and up to date, then you are tackling corruption effectively in the entity. So we have instances where the CEOs have gotten their account updated, and we'll see it going forward. We'll see some going forward, and the kind of restructuring and facelifting they are bringing to bear on the public investment we have in the SOEs. And we have also been aware of continuous non-performance. That is loss-making. As for loss-making, I think it's become a chorus in our public discourse when we discuss the SOE sector. So these problems, we are dealing with them head-on with the structure that we have now. So, achievements so far, ladies and gentlemen, we have succeeded achieving structural alignment for improved governance and oversight. Now the structure is so clear. Like I said, for the first time, a Minister for Public Enterprises appointed to focus on the sector, and SEGA Act of Parliament promulgated to establish this institution, and then boards are in place and their capacities are being built to deliver effective outcomes, and management are being prevailed upon to ensure profitable and efficient operations. So we have seen increased compliance in reporting. We've seen transparency and accountability. We've seen what we call the state ownership report in publication. It was like we're joking with it, and in 2016 there were just 18. But under this government, in 2017, we have had in the state ownership report enhanced content, improved content. We had in 2017 49 companies reporting. That's more than 100% reporting. And then in 2018, we had 77 of them reporting. And these are comprehensive, improving the scope of the reporting, information to throw out there into the public domain to inform public discourse. In 2019, we moved from 77 to 106 specified entities reporting. And we didn't stop there. In 2020 state ownership report, 132 have reported. And if you have 132 companies updated in their accounts from 18 to 132 in just a 4-year span, then you know the enormity of work that has gone into it. And I commend the SEGA team. I commend the Ministry of Finance, PIAD, Public Investment and Asset Division, the team in there, and also effort from Controlling Accountant General's Department. A lot of effort has gone in there for us to achieve this level of financial reporting, and we're not stopping. We will keep moving until we achieve 100% updated reporting, so that management decisions can be made. Because without financial information, how do you manage your entities going forward? That is what the the private sector does to achieve the kind of results they keep achieving for the private entities. And the state, under His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Vice President, really mean to the public financial reporting, especially in the specified entity space. So we have also the achievements so far. We've achieved improved performance of the SOE sector, and naturally it follows when you are getting the financial reports and you are looking through them and asking boards and management questions, then they in turn oversight the staff to exact more performance and commitment from them to deliver the results we want. Structural alignment, specifically, like I said, establishment of SEGA, appointment of Minister for Public Enterprises, development of policy documents, and state ownership policy, which is a very interesting document. If will inform government managing the specified entities using investment portfolio strategies. That we have a whole literature and skill sets to manage investment portfolios. The private funds are using them. For the first time, those knowledge will find expression in the public space as we look at the entities together and analyze policy directions and make policy decisions regarding their performance. So state ownership policy is in the offing. The SEGA team and the PR team have speedily developing them for cabinet approval for its implementation. And then Code of Corporate Governance, Performance Management Framework, Equity Study. Equity Study is another document that comes of a very important because this is a study flowing from Ernst & Young and KPMG to make recommendations specific entity by entity that in this entity state interest must be divested because of reason A, B, or C. This entity must be listed on the stock exchange because it is attractive enough to attract the public to invest in, or this entity, it is defunct, it has collapsed. So the state as an investor dispose of this asset, the asset you have in there, to generate some value to support your activity. So that document will go for cabinet approval sooner than you think, and then we will start implementing the recommendations in the equity study. When it comes to structural alignment for ownership management, improved governance and oversight, we have done board orientation, introduction and training of board secretaries. In fact, training of board secretaries, I think it's the first of its kind, so that in the boardroom, you would see effective minutes taken and organized board members' activity, and then you'll be able to have the boards delivering effectively. We've had board evaluations, training of board, engagement with board and executive heads of the SEs, and so on. These are all important to build the capacities of the president's appointees. That, I must say, first of all, we have good people, and we have very good people heading the specified entities, and also very proficient and competent people making up the boards. But you bring them in line with the entity's own mandate, and you focus their skills and experiences and the profile to deliver the results government is looking for. When it comes to the issue of increased compliance and report and transparency and accountability, ladies and gentlemen, you can see this data that we are saying that the Compliance improvement expresses itself in the numbers as you see over the period 2016 to 2020. And so, like I said, from 18 to 102 reporting, we have really improved compliance, because in the past you hardly get the companies reporting to enable you to take effective decisions for their way forward. Improved performance. The SEs, specified entities, are improving in their performance. There's a bold statement I want to make to the public for all of us to start getting excited. The data, as you see, is showing, as you look at the graph, you see performance improvement over the period that we've been compiling the state ownership report. And I think when you get a copy of the state ownership report, you can digest and understand that the performance has been improving. I must say again, not with a hazard of repeating myself, that as we get excited by the loss making and always focusing on loss making, performance isn't one direction thing. Those that are doing well must be applauded. So the media must throw its lenses on them. In that case, when they are encouraged, those that are lagging behind in performance will be motivated to also come along in their performance. So these details, I think you would need time to digest, but we have seen improved profitability in the SOE sector over the period that we've compiled the state ownership report. Next slide, please. Loss reduction, which has engaged our attention. I must even say, you can cite Ghana Water, the size of the loss it made in 2019, and compare with the loss it made in 2020. ECG, same. The loss was bigger in 19 and smaller in 2020. And all these list of companies, as you see, Greatco, VRA, ECG, Ghana Ports, all of them are undergoing what we call turnaround. You know, when you meet a company or you take over a company to manage and the company is steep or deep in losses, say reporting $1 billion losses, and then you take charge and you're able to cut the loss, you've done well. But you are yet to turn the loss making into profitability. Turnaround always starts with you take a venture that is bad and you start implementing measures to cut the losses, and you reach a break even, and then you start reporting profit. All these entities that we see were steep in losses, and under His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's governance, we have seen them, the kind of people, their competence, we've seen them turn around the companies, and some are already reporting profits. They have gone through the loss curtain and they're reporting profits. The performance improvement. Let's share the story of Ghana Publishing, which really excites me and also shows what has been happening in several of the specified entities. This is just to tease us at the entity level to see what has been happening. Let's listen to the Ghana Publishing story. Thank you.
Sampayetia. Obayan Sapuso Bunia one kana sam. They map to some cacre was supreme. Yo, coffee, or money, mana. Granny baby, what are the warren? One song, one nipa, as I did of you. Yamo ember,
as you watch the video, you'll see the situation before and after. So just look at what is happening, the facelifting that has happened, and also find expression in the financial report. That is how you should look at this video. So the compound before, it was like a certain compound in a certain village. Meanwhile, this is in Accra, central part of Accra, central business district of Accra, and the state was having an entity sitting there with such a compound under government in the past. But look at the compound today. The sales point where customers interface with the company. Look at how it was. And this was the face of a state enterprise. You look at this. This is sales point, the living legends. Today, a well-organized sales point. Very well organized. We have moved from the living legends. You see? And then accounting. If you are doing such manual accounting, how can you be up to date? When they ask you for any financial information, you have to go and plow the books. You go into mining for information. How can the media be getting information up to date to even be assessing? How can the public assess them? IT office. If your IT office looks like this, how can government digitalization take? I can't believe it. But today, you see a workstation, the place is computerized. If you look at the typesetting, which is the core of their activities as a publishing company, today, that activity is also computerized. And you see the face of a private sector firm showing up. The image, the corporate image of Ghana Publishing completely changed. The press units, what they do. If your press unit is organized like this under a certain government, isn't it a reflection of the government performance? Today, the story is different from this. And this is where the public should be focusing attention. Because there's a reflection of non-performance of a government. And so, entity by entity across 177 of them, if we turn them around, it becomes part of the government-owned performance. And this is a space we have left out as a country for so long, and for which reason job creation and so on has been lagging. So as the public, we should take interest in these things. I must also say that we say maintenance culture. It's part of the complaints we make. If you have public investment or public asset or public entity and no maintenance takes place, you are running it down until it collapses. So what Ghana Publishing has demonstrated, I must say, it's not them alone. You would see around you that a lot of the public assets are being maintained, are being refurbished, are given the image that we deserve as citizens that are developing. We cannot continue to have public assets look the way they look, and private assets very nice, and expect that the situation can continue. His Excellency the President, the Vice President, digitalization, computerization, everything that is ongoing is just to achieve a developing country that is good looking. The way forward, ladies and gentlemen, is that we strengthen the capacity of boards and management of specified entities to deliver the results we so desire of them. We're developing an operational SEGA Act 2019. We want the regulations to give more effective outcomes from the law. And we're engaging with boards and executive heads of specified entities and other stakeholders. To this end, we're organizing annual policy and governance forum. We're doing business development forum, and we're having breakfast meetings with CEOs and so on. This is planned to ensure continuous engagement with those that are managing and oversighting the specified entities. We're implementing state ownership. We're developing state ownership policy, the code of corporate governance, performance management framework, like I said, equity study, asset verification and valuation of defunct entities, that is, those entities that have collapsed, what we can get out of them. And all these are meant to bring the result we so desire from the public enterprise space. Compliance is everything for me, because our various laws state a lot of compliance, and we have to ensure that the public enterprises comply with the requirement of the law and deliver the results we want. When it comes to performance, we have tightened the performance indicators in the performance contracts that have been the tradition. We know in the past, State Enterprises Commission were signing performance contracts, but the contents were not as elaborative as what SEGA has done today, and keeps improving it so that we can have tighter performance contracts. And when we administer it well and ensure that the specified entities comply and achieve the result and the target set in, then we will see the performance we want from them. Listing some entities on the stock market. And when it comes to listing of companies, let me say that the public, as investors, you and I, will only be interested in companies that are profitable to invest in. And so when I hear some people say, oh, put them on the stock exchange, they jump the first question. Have you made them attractive such that if you are listed on the stock exchange, the public, as investors, you and I, will buy the shares? And so we should be mindful of the fact that we have to turn around the companies that are meant for listing And then when they attain profitability, when the shares are put on the stock market, people will invest because investors like profitable entities to invest in. The big one, which is to ensure very interesting oversight by all the public included, is the Public Enterprises League Table. You know, when you hear league table, the competition it engenders among the participants in a league is always enough for everybody to set up. So for the first time, we're going to rank the performance of the public enterprises. When we rank them, it is expected that those that are doing well will be encouraged to do better, and those that are not doing well will be encouraged to do better. So if you are last in the table, in the league table, fortunately you won't be relegated. You are not going on relegation like a typical soccer league table. But that's why you decide when you are last or at the bottom, then it means that the effort we should make to enable you start performing should be increased. You should be given more attention, maybe more resources, maybe more training, maybe injection of capital, maybe a relook at your business or your mandate and resources in general. Then in that case, we'll also bring them in line with performing entities. But I think that we're going to invite the press this Friday, right, to make a presentation of the Public Enterprises League Table to you to understand, so that when we publish the first results of the ranking, you'll be able to follow and assess what has been done. I believe in May, the league table will be published, and we'll all be using it to know those that are doing well, clap for them. Those that are not doing well, cheer them up to do well. It will be our last. We only mean to make sure that all of them are performing. So let's look forward to the Public Enterprises League Table. Thank you. In conclusion, I must say that the specified entities, that is the state-owned enterprises, the joint venture companies, and the other state entities will continue to play a significant role in the economy, and opportunities exist for them to make real contribution to the development of the nation. We are hopeful that strategies proposed here would lead to the desired outcomes, and we'll all be happy. Job creation in the public sector space will complement 1D, 1F by the government, and we'll all be good as a country. Appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, after listening to Honorable Joseph Kudjo, you would realize that one of the most important ministries in this country is actually the ministry responsible for public enterprises. Because we all know that for those who were not happy about wastage, about poor asset management, about lack of accountability, poor customer service, and lack of productivity within the public enterprises, would appreciate the fact that any fair assessment of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's led government, through which we have the benefit of a very experienced and hard-working minister in the person of Honorable Joseph Kudjo, you would realize that any fair assessment of government performance, if you look at entities specifically, one after the other, look at the likes of NAFCO, the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, GIHOC, Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, Ghana Publishing Company Limited, among others. Most of those companies were places we do not regard. But I know that taking this responsibility, the minister knew his work was cut out. And if you look at the work that the ministry, State Governance Authority has done, it is clear that they are really doing a massive cleanup and fixing a lot of the problems that these public enterprises are having. And most importantly, to create jobs for the young people of this country. So on that note, I would really like to thank the minister for that wonderful and insightful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take your questions. We can take the first set, 5 questions. If you have a question, kindly raise your hand. The microphone will be brought to you. We can take 5, so I'll take the 3 here, 1 at the back. If there is any other person who has a question, we'll take it before we go to the Honorable Minister for his answers.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mr. Kujo, good morning. I have 2 questions for you.
Nana, please, I know you, but not please your name and media house.
My name is Nana Poku from Daily Satellite.
Okay.
Mr. Kujo, Honorable Kujo, some people have the opinion that why do we maintain or keep on employing CEOs who are not performing and taking far sums of salary and allowances when in fact they are not making any impact in the economy, because they feel that once you're not making profit, you must give way for somebody who's competent to come and take over. But still, some of them are there 5 years, 10 years, and they're still making losses. My second question, can we depoliticize the appointments of CEOs and board members to state organizations and enterprises? Because there's a school of thought that believes that because they have linkages and some affiliation to the appointing authorities, government of the day, even when they go wrong, they are not punished or they are treated with kiss glove. Can we, for instance, we have a Public Services Commission that appoints public officers to certain. Can we ask that people come on merit and with expertise so that they can be held properly accountable? Thank you.
Thank you, Nana. We'll take the...
Yes, my name is John Awuni Kesben. The minister summing up said Friday there will be some table of state enterprises that are performing very well. I want to know if that table is brought out as it pertains in football. At the end of a particular season, the last 3 teams are relegated. Those state enterprises that will not be doing that very well, are they going to be relegated? Thank you.
Okay, we'll take the 3rd question.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Clifford Kufu. I write for the Ghanaian Times. I have 1 question with 2 follow-ups. I would want to know the status of our diversity implementation policy. Do we still have some companies still on diversity? If we do, with the new focus of government, do we intend to still diversify the state interest in those organizations? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll take the 4th and the 5th.
Good morning. My name is Edward Akwa, Ghana News Agency. So one of the challenges affecting specified entities, especially those that are not commercial, is the lack of resources to execute their work. As a ministry, what are you doing for them? And secondly, there are proposals that you should review the allowances and entitlement of the CEOs of some or of state enterprises. Something that you are going to consider. Thank you.
Excuse me, you were talking about subventions.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I am Nana Kwejiopong from TV Africa. Honorable, I just want to find out, the level of accountability and supervision is enormous. However, are there any other measures put in place to ensure sustainability of the supervision and accountability?
Okay, thank you. So we will go to Honorable Minister for his answers.
Thank you for your insightful questions. All the questions qualify for MBA, Masters in Business Administration questions. So, Nana Puku, Why maintain CEOs making losses and still taking fast salaries? Why not fire them? I believe every Ghanaian is a fireman. And when it comes to soccer, the coach must be fired for non-performance. So I understand. But then, interestingly, when you appoint somebody to a position as an investor or a shareholder or owner of a company, your interest is for profit or efficiency depending on the nature, especially the state. Sometimes, let me cite example. You see a CEO reporting losses. And let me be business driven and give you typical example. I'll use ECG, which all of us know. ECG is reporting losses. The CEO is there. First year 1 loss, year 2 loss, year 3 loss, year 4 loss. And then Nana Puku says, the CEO is taking salary and reporting losses. Fire him. Okay. In fact, if Nana Puku understands that the CEO is reporting losses because the electricity tariff they are charging is low, then Nana Puku would tone down on. Are you getting my point? That for a company, ECG can be made to report profit next month. Easy. If we take the power tariff from the IPPs, the tariff they generate, we take the cost ECG incurs to distribute the power and incorporate transmission service charges as charged by GridCo to wheel the power from the power plants, and we take care of all ECG's costs. Okay? And ECG borrows money, we take care of the interest costs on the fund. And we say, if it were a private company, I look at all my purchase price, my overheads, okay? And then every cost is taken care of. And then I set a price, which has a profit margin on it. That is how the private sector works to deliver the profits we all always clap them for. Now, the issue is that when ECG sets a tariff that is cost reflective and incorporates margin, next month they will make profit. So Nana Puku, should I ask ECG to set that tariff so that they report? And if we will cry and not agree to that tariff and reporting losses, should we cry? Do you understand the dynamics? It is the same for Ghana Water. Just adjust the water tariff to reflect the cost and give them a profit margin. Any company, I'm holding a phone. The company looks at all cost of production and puts a margin on it, and that determines its selling price. But the state entities don't have that window. So a lot of them, you see CEOs in place reporting losses because we are not willing to pay the right selling price. Because to report profit means that revenue should be generated, costs should be paid, interest, taxes, salaries, utilities, every cost should be paid for, and then you report a profit. So their reporting of profit depends on us, not on the manager you want to fire. Because the manager may be technically competent, professionally savvy, and everything, but right pricing or wrong pricing is what will determine the profitability. That is the way we should look at it. So when we are assessing performance, it should be holistic and take care of, and should include all of these, especially when it comes to public goods and public services. We should be mindful of that. Fat salaries. Maybe you are talking to the wrong person on salaries when it is fat. I openly declare anywhere that I am an advocate for good salary. And if this is bad, tell me this is bad. I am an advocate for good salaries. Good salary because I have said this. I know foreign companies even come here, and when they are paying good salaries, Ghanaian personnel managers, HR advise not to pay good salaries. The difference between a country becoming wealthy is for people to be paid good salaries. That is all. Because it is when they can cater for their needs and also save in the financial system, then deposits build up in the financial system to enable the financial system give loans to businesses and individuals who need them. So if somebody is taking fast salary, my issue is always whether the person is giving an output that reflects the salary. That is all. If the person is performing and taking good salary, I clap for the person. If the person is not performing and not taking that good salary, you exact performance from the person because you are paying the person. So I am a lover of fat salaries. Do you understand? I am a lover of fat salaries. Let me say. So you can't you can't use me to pay people bad. I always speak for people who are not paid well. So when somebody is being paid well, then the person is already there. And I'd rather speak for people who are not paid well. Thank you. Pelt, relegation. This is not going to lead to relegation. I'm saying those that when ranked will be tailing. What we'll do is that it gives us opportunity to focus on them and solve their problems. It's just like ranking students in class. If you rank them and you think that the ranking is for purpose of sacking them, then you are not a good teacher. Ranking means the one who came first, you clap for him to stay there. The one who came last, you give him more attention to perform better, because the person needs more time, more resources, and so on. That is the purpose of the pelt. Divestment. I think the person who asked the question is from New Times, right? Yes. Okay. Thanks for the question. Divestiture Implementation Committee has been subsumed under SEGA today. I must say, it is bringing together of State Enterprises Commission and Divestiture Implementation Committee and enhancing their role and reflecting the results of the 2015 World Bank report, leading to promulgation of SEGA to do what it is doing now. Gives SEGA, in fact the staff, I know that even the staff of DIC were subsumed under SEGA. So the same skill set, knowledge set, and experience they have is in SEGA. And it is also the reason why SEGA's Act talks about SEGA having the mandate to dispose of assets of the state that the state has assessed to be fit for disposal. So SEGA will hold the asset and manage and dispose if necessary, in line with divestiture policies. Okay, GNA, lack of resources, subversions. You see, what we're trying to achieve under this structure, what this government is trying to achieve, is for the entities to be sustainable by themselves and not disturb Ghana's budget. That the Minister of Finance, when planning for roads, schools, hospitals, and public service, health, and so on, public entities will not become a worry to the budget. Rather, you want them to play the role of operate profitably if you have been set up to make profit, and write dividend checks to support government budget for government to deliver the social goods and services. So the mindset we are causing every specified entity to entertain as a mindset of survive on your own, because we have invested enough in you. If you go to the compound of state enterprises, you see that they have sufficient assets. Let me cite an example. I went to Ghana Post, and if you go to that place, the buildings they have, the land, offices, the post spaces they have across the country, they sit on an asset. The equivalent private sector company engaged in courier services, for example, EMS or, is that DHL, for example, may not have that physical presence and land across the country. So the question is that you sit on this asset, what are you doing? And fortunately, the MD there, things like this, it is an opportunity to leverage all these assets at our disposal to develop products, new services, generate the revenue, pay ourselves well, and then get our taxes paid, and then pay dividend to government. That is what we want. We don't want you sit in the asset as if it is your private property, as if you have a right to it. It is for the public. It is for all of us. So when you have the opportunity to sit in there, we don't want you to operate, make a loss, and wear red band and go to the streets. Government, bring more money. Government, bring more money. And then monies that are needed for health, education. Are you getting that? So we are working with a different mindset. Of course, some need support for them to execute their mandate. So entity by entity assessment, those that genuinely need support to be supported. But those that sit on asset that can be turned around. You look at STC. They sit on asset. They were doing well until the new MD, who is using the brand. The brand is an asset, right? Now, where? You see STC move to close to people to compete with the private sector transportation company. But earlier MDs were not seeing that vision to take advantage of that brand asset and do business to generate more revenue. Had it not been COVID, STC would be smiling by now because they really attained a turnaround until the lockdown when buses cannot move and they were still paying workers. Are you getting that? So we encourage all state enterprises. You are sitting on assets. Utilize it as the first recourse to capital injection. And then the rest will follow if the need is really established. So let's take note of that. Measures we've been put in place for accountability. All the efforts we are making, state ownership reports, that alone, 177 reporting financial and have up-to-date accounts. We are in 2022. We are in April. So expectedly, we expect the enterprises to have completed the preparation of the accounts and then auditing of the account ongoing. And by mid-year, we have audited account of 177 entities. Then in that case, you'll be able to manage this investment portfolio the state has. You saw the assets we have. Even at book value, in 2020 financial year 417 billion Ghana cedis of assets. So it's up to us to ensure that their financial reporting is up to date. For this, I advocate all of them, like Ghana Publication we saw, not paper accounting that will tell you we can't find this paper, we can't find this. When you ask for a report, it takes somebody going to flip through pages. Today, in the year 2022, accounting softwares are there, enterprise resource systems are there. You can computerize. In the era of digitalization, we expect all the public enterprises to digitalize their business operations and service delivery. We expect that. And when you do, your smartphone, you can renew your NHIS, you can renew your card, you can put in application for passport, you can do this. So we expect them to, these are accountability measures, because the best way, let me make this statement, the best accountability measure is to deploy technology in doing what you are doing. The best accountability measure is to ensure that companies are working on the back of technology. Then everything is real time. But when you can't find the information, when you can't find a report, when you can't find this, you can't find that, then accountability is impaired. Let me make that statement. Thank you.
Are we going to maintain the status quo because and
No,
then
start again. I didn't get the first part.
Yeah, I'm saying, can we depoliticize the appointments of CEOs and board members to ensure efficiency and accountability, and or maintain the status quo with checks and balances?
Thank you. Your point is well noted, but appointment evolves from the Constitution. That is your own Constitution. I don't know whether you want to say, let's set aside the Constitution that mandates the President to make such appointments. Is that what you are saying? Okay. Then the best we can do is to work within the framework of the law and minimize the effect. For example, if you ensure that the President has a list of plenty competent people, and he's given that choice, and he appoints from, then he's living within the mandate of the Constitution, but still appointing competent people. I have observed the appointment that have been done under this government, that even in the face of that constitutional constraint and the constraint of the law, very competent people have been appointed. And that's why we are seeing the results we are seeing at the entity level and the board level. When you look at the profile of people that have been appointed, it's amazing. My concern is when they have turned these entities into profitable operations and the profitability trend is improving, can we sustain them, maintain them to ensure that result? That one, recommendation from SEGA to President, those that are working, those that are not working well, the law provides for to be dealt with. So we should be okay with it. Thank you.
I was asking if among the reforms that you are implementing, you are considering reviewing the allowances and some entitlement of the CEOs of the SOC.
Thank you. Allowances, entitlements, these are all what we call salary structures. Okay, salary structures. Salary structures are market things. They are market. Honorable Joseph Kujo has an MBA. I've been a senior consultant for SEM International Associate. I've worked here. I'm a businessman. I understand business. I've been a lecturer. I've been so my CV comes with a profile. You want me to go and work for a certain public enterprises? I have an expectation to deliver that competence. Do you understand? I'm not in slavery. I cannot be caused to work by force for a certain public enterprise. I'll look at their salary before I go and work for them. And I'm telling you, when I wanted to work for Ghana Cocoa Board and they showed their salary and I looked at the building environment, I decided not to go. The appointment was to start from March. It is only when I was assured of a very physical, good-looking physical environment, because I was moving from Trust Towers, very nice office, when the finance, what do we call, deputy chief executive in charge of finance, showed me the renovation that is ongoing and how the new cocoa board will look. That was when I accepted to become manager for cocoa board. Else I wouldn't have gone. I took the salary structure and compared with what I'm making before going to work for cocoa board. Do you understand? It's a market thing. If I say market thing, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys to work with. Everybody knows. So if public sector want to attract competent people, if you want me to brag like myself, then be willing to pay good money. Are you getting my point? But most important aspect is exact the performance from them. You need them to grow the companies, to expand, contribute. That is what is important. If you look at salary, small. Unfortunately, I'm saying you cannot attract competent people to take up the jobs. That we should understand. We have flogged the issue of taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money should be subjected to value generation. And value generation means if you paid $100,000 a month to somebody and the person generates $1 billion in value to you, you are generating value. If you paid 800 Ghana a month and the person generates value, 500 Ghana, your 800 Ghana is rather a loss, even though small salary. That is what we should begin to understand and rather look at the performance end. Whether the salary, that is, don't look at the salary in isolation. Look at it in terms of the performance. Look at it in terms of the market. I think we should begin to have that mindset. When you are given a good salary, will you say no? Even a question you have to ask yourself. Do you understand? You need a good salary to do good work. Do good work, good salary will follow. Which one comes first is the next debate. Okay.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I think Honorable Minister has also taken a lot of follow-up questions. So unless I see a hand of someone who hasn't asked at all, okay. I take that to be the last question if no one has a question.
Thank you very much. From ABC News. Minister made mention of the fact that specified entities of the state made about 12 million Ghana cedis profit in the year 2020. I want him to elaborate on that. I want him to elaborate on the profit, whether it's based on cash inflows and outflows or is mere an accounting profit where, we can't find the cash even though profit is being declared. Thank you.
Okay, that's the last question.
Thank you. You are getting the questions technical. He's saying the profit, as has been reported, in excess of 12 billion by the specified entities, and the losses, whether it is cash inflow, outflow accounting, or what we call accrual basis accounting. The standard of financial reporting is the accrual basis accounting. So it is on that basis. Those who, I don't know how to explain this to the public, to non-accountants, but it is not cash based accounting that we are talking about here. But let me take the opportunity to throw in a certain education. The losses, when you hear on some media platform, they create an impression that the losses that a company reports is like loss of money. No. I say no because of this very question the person asked. It is not corruption. That one is emphatic. The losses do not mean, if ECG reports a loss, it does not mean corruption has taken place in ECG and ECG has lost cash, that amount. When you are in trading, I'll use trading business to demonstrate this. When you are in trading and you go for tomatoes in the north and you spend your 10,000 Ghana cedis, you pay a car to bring it, and you haven't taken goods in transit insurance, and the car gets involved in an accident, and the car is not comprehensively insured, the trader will incur a loss. You spend 10,000, you have 0 goods to sell. Do you understand? You've lost that in corruption, but it's a business loss. So when you hear the losses, never avert your mind to corruption, because a business loss is different from a stolen money. So let's put that one across as part of our education as we get interested in assessing public enterprises' performance. Profit, in this case, only means that the company has generated revenue for a given year, incurred cost, and not necessarily even paid for the cost, because you can report profit when salaries are even outstanding to be paid. You can, doesn't necessarily mean cost has been incurred. You can have outstanding payment, creditors to pay. You can have bank loan to pay, reporting a profit. What it means is you've generated revenue, incurred costs, and the cost is less than the revenue, or the revenue is more than the revenue you generated is more than the cost you've paid. You've accounted for all the costs incurred generating the revenue, and you are reporting a profit. That is what it means. So let's take care of that. I want all of us to be interested in what is happening in the public enterprises space, and through our highlight on it, because that is what the president wants. He wants to solve the 65 years old canker problem. The problem is 65. Ghana got independence 65 years ago, and companies have collapsed. Good companies have collapsed. Ghana at a point had a brand, just like Samsung today, when they were also starting in South Korea. What happened? We collapsed it. If you know the number of companies, we were also doing manufacturing car, Adom car, like the Kia in Korea, the Boafo car, we were manufacturing in this country. We've managed to successfully collapse them. But today, the president says no, not again. We should get the right structures in place to ensure that the public enterprises We follow their performance. We achieve transparency in their financial reporting, accountability, performance assessment continuous, so that we'll have them grow and expand to contribute to this economy. So let's all be up and doing in this respect. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, for this very brilliant presentation, I'm inspired to go back to the classroom. So thank you so much. And also I would like to express the ministry's gratitude to the team from your ministry and also from SEGA for giving us this pot of knowledge and wisdom and a whole lot. After leaving here, I think I'll even go and watch your presentation again on Facebook. Thank you so much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Good morning.